Alright, Rusty Athletics, this week in the Powerlifting for Aesthetic series, I'm going to talk to you guys about letting that bench sink in or to keep it at the top of the chest. This is a topic in powerlifting that's not really discussed that often, and there's not really a lot of discussion that you see about it. You'll see a lot of top-end benchers who will either just barely touch their chest, pause it there, and get the press command, and then there's other people who let the bar sink in and then recoil it up, and that's how they'll do their bench press. I was recently asked by one of the Powerlifting for Aesthetics clients about this exact topic that inspired this video. They saw one of my bench press videos where I was letting the bar sink in and then driving it up my chest, and they asked me, why do I do that? Because to them, they've never been taught to do that, and they asked if it was something that I encouraged people to do. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys some clips of me benching and trying to show the difference between not letting it sink in and then a rep at letting it sink in. I'm gonna show 135, 225, and 315 and show you a comparison of those lifts. So as you see in the videos, there's two major distinct differences between the styles. Number one is that the bar has to travel further when you let it sink in. So generally in most lifts, we're always talking about having the minimum range that you need to comply within the rules. For instance, minimizing the range of motion in your deadlift by having good technique, using the arch so you don't have to have the bar travel as far. So generally that's not something that we would encourage. However, when we look at the bench press style of letting it sink in, what we're able to do is let it sink into the chest where it folds slightly and then it pushes back up. Now this isn't exactly a normal way of teaching the bench press and very much specific exclusively to powerlifting. I wouldn't ever encourage anyone who's not a powerlifter to try and do that method. And it's not inherently a requirement. There's a lot of amazing benchers who don't do that. However, you will see a lot of big powerlifters who do that. It's a lot more common to see that done where we're using a lot more leg drive, a lot more of the chest motion when we're not as small. For individuals who can't arch as proficiently, such as more of the super heavyweight class or the 105ers for men or the 75s for women, we're not gonna see as much of a huge aggressive arch, and so you might see more of this motion done. So, what does that mean for you? Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should or should not be doing it. It's something to play around with and decide what goes best with your style. For me, I've tried to pause it just at the top of my chest. It's actually a variation that I use in my training. But it's actually for me, not the best way that I can bench. I found that when I let it sink in and drive up, especially when I'm pausing, then I'm able to do that way better. For my touch and go, I don't do that. I actually stick more to the first style. So again, it depends. It's gonna depend upon what you find you're able to do best. This week in the Powerlifting for Aesthetics series, we talked about the bench press, talked about pausing and how to best use that position. There's different ways for different people, and that's the important takeaway from it. Try both styles and see what works best. If you have any more questions about powerlifting, send me an email at sam@rustyathletics.com. I'd love to do a video for you and help explain topics. If you're interested in the Powerlifting for Aesthetics program, send me an email. I'll give you all the information and we'll get you going. We're gonna have a great cycle coming up soon. So that's Sam at Rusty Athletics, and we'll talk to you guys soon.